All right, now we're gonna be learning how to basically solve inequalities using addition and subtraction. Now, the difference between, an equation and equality is that a linear equation usually only has one answer, and an equality is multiple answers. It's a set of answers. Okay. So let's try to do the first example here. X minus 6 is greater or equal than negative 10. To solve an inequality, you basically gonna be using inverse and opposite operations, just like a regular equation. So in this case, you try to isolate the x, the value. So to isolate the x, okay, you need to add 6 to both sides of the inequality. And negative 6 plus 6, well, it cancels out, it's a 0. So what we got is x is greater or equal, and then we got negative 10 plus 6, that will be negative 4. That is my answer. So how do we represent this in a graph? Well, we're going to represent this on a graph on the number line. So we have the number line here. It's telling you that the answer for this inequality is all the numbers that are equal or greater than negative 4. So if you have here 0 here, and you have over here a negative 4, and over here you got all the numbers. So this tells you that the negative 4 is part of the answer. So it's going to be a fill-in circle. So the negative 4 is part of the answer. And it's all the numbers that are bigger or equal than negative 4. So that will be basically negative 3, negative 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, a million. So all of these numbers going that way. So all of these from here to the infinite, okay? From negative 4 all the way, all the numbers to the right. So now let's try another one. I want you guys to pause the video, and I want you guys to try the example B. Okay? See if you're able to graph it also and to get the solution of this inequality. All right, so let's go and see if you got the right answer here. Okay, again, we got 5 is greater or equal than m minus 3. So I got to isolate the variable, which is m. So in order to do that, I have to add 3 to both sides of the inequality. So negative 3 plus 3 cancels out. And what we got over here is 5 plus 3, that's 8, is greater or equal than m. Okay, that is the answer. Okay, you can also rewrite this, probably it's easier if you write it down as m. And notice that this is the smaller part. See, the mouth is trying to kind of like eat 8. So if you're going to be flipping the m to the other side, you also have to flip the sign. So you can also write it down as m is less or equal than 8. So both of these answers are the same. So 8 is greater or equal than m, or m is less or equal than 8. Okay? Both of them are the same. Notice that the mouth, right, is trying to eat the 8. The mouth is trying to eat the 8. So it's the same thing. Now, to graph it. Let's graph it. We know that 8 is part of the answer. So let's write down over here an 8. I'm not going to write any other numbers. Okay? And then we know that 8 is part of the answer, so that will be a fill-in circle. And m is less or equal than 8. So I'm looking for the numbers that are less or equal than 8. So that will be 7, 6, 5, and so on. So it goes this way. Those are the numbers that I'm looking for. Right? So now, let's take a look at another example here. Let's move it up a little bit. I want you guys to try example C. Pause the video and see if you're able to do it. All right, so let's take a look at this example C here. Again, we got y plus 8 is less than 5. So to isolate the variable y, I need to subtract 8 to both sides of the inequality. So if I do that, 8 and negative 8 cancels out. So we got y is less than 5 minus 8. That's going to be negative 3. So y is less than negative 3. So we're looking at all of the numbers, okay, that are less than negative 3. Now, negative 3 is not part of the answer because it doesn't have the equal sign on the bottom here. So it's going to be an empty circle. But then I'm looking at all of the numbers that are less than negative 3, less than. So that will be negative 4, negative 5. So it will be all the numbers that go to the left side of negative 3. Right? Let's try now the next one here. Let's see if you guys are brave enough to try this one with fractions. Pause the video, see if you're able to do it. All right, so let's take a look at this one over here now, okay? Before you do anything, you want to have all the fractions to have the same denominator. And the least common denominator here for 5 and 3 is going to be 15. So I know I need to have a 15 here in the denominator. And I need to have also a 15 here in the denominator. So the question is, how do I get this? How do we go from 5 to 15? What do we need to multiply by? Well, we need to multiply this by 3. And also need to multiply the top one by 3. So 3 times 5 is 15, and 3 times 6 is 18. So 6/5 is the same thing as 18/15. The same thing here. How do we get from 3 to 15 here? Okay, that's the least common denominator, right? So how do we get from 3 to 15? So we need to multiply the 3 by 5. If I've multiplied this one by 5, I have to multiply also the numerator by 5. So 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 5 is 15. Now, notice that both of these fractions have the same denominator. They're equivalent. This one and that one is the same thing as this one and that one right there. So now, the same thing. We're going to be doing isolating the variable. So that means that I'm going to be subtracting negative 5/15 from both sides of the inequality. This cancels with that, so we got x, okay? And we got that sign there. And 18/15 minus 5/15, well, we keep the same denominator, which is 15, and 18 minus 5 is gonna be 13. So 13 over 15 is less or equal than x. This is the answer, right? You can also write it down as x, and look at the mouth, the mouth is trying to eat the x, right? X is greater or equal than 13/15. So both of these answers are correct. It's the same thing. Now, how do we graph it? Let's do a small graph over here. Make it smaller. Let's mark it down like here, 13/15. That's an equal also sign here, so that means that 13/15 is part of the answer, so that's a fill-in circle. And I'm looking at the numbers that are all bigger than that, bigger, so it's gonna go to the right side. Pretty good, right? So we did 4 examples. Now let's do one that is a little more, complex. Let me flip the page because I have it on the other side. And let's see if we can see it. It's just right there. And again, pause the video, see if you guys can do this one. It has multiple steps. See if you got the right answer and the right graph. All right, let's take a look at it, okay? First of all, before you do anything, okay, we can do combining like terms. Have the x's on the same side of the inequality. just like regular equations, solve it and combine like terms. So we got 12 is less than 4x minus 3x. That's an x. That's one x. And then we got plus 10. Now it's pretty simple. I gotta basically subtract 10 to both sides of the inequality. So 10 and negative 10 cancel each other. 12 minus 10 is 2, is less than x. This is the right answer. Or you can also write it down as x, and look at the mouth here trying to read x. So if I flip the x to the other side, I have to flip the sign also. So x is greater than 2. Both of these answers are the same. Okay? How do I graph it? Well, I'm looking for all the numbers. So they are bigger than 2. X is bigger than 2. So I'm looking for 3, 4, 5, 6. So all those numbers are going to be on the right side of the number line. And 2 is not part of the answer because I don't have the equal sign there, right? So it will be an empty circle. And again, looking for 3, 4, 5, 6. Those numbers are bigger than 2. So it goes to this side of this number line, right? I hope that it will be helpful for you guys. And don't forget to do the assignments.